This is a video about the new template and how to use it and what it's intended for and what it does and does not do. Uh, Basically, here I've got a couple of versions of it here, but here's the template, and you'll get it like this. And this it's called Third Person New, the project name, but if you click on it, it'll launch it. So I want to go ahead and do that. And by the way, this is I think it's under 2 gigs. It's pretty small, but it's a different approach than I was hoping to do. This is kind of a little bit simpler. It's more like the old template. So it'll launch here, and there it goes. And I went over to the other window, of course. Here we go. So here's the key thing here. It will launch. I am going to make a template for each level that will probably be built. And if you remember, the new folder structure looks a lot like this. And so what you'll see when you get the template, all of them are red except for maps and movies now. And this is used as third person character, doesn't in the map. So if you click on it, it's open. I made this one for the hippie tea house that is being built in the rural area. It may be in the city. Who knows where it's going to be, but that's where it is right now. So I will mark with green what it's intended for. And I called this hippie tea house as the name of the project, if you remember. If you see, I called it Moose version 1 template hippie tea house. And so it'll be like if I'm going to make one for another something that's in space, if I'm going to make one for alien planet, it'll be called Moose. It'll be called uh, Moose version 1 template alien planet. So just so you know where that's going on. So basically, these are all marked gray because they're really nothing there. I mean, there's just the folder structure, and so if you look in the folders, they're all blank except for the one that's green, which is the one that this was intended for. And I handed this one off to Fran. So if you look in there, it's got a whole bunch of folders underneath Hippie Tea House, and maps is the important one, and that's why it's green. These other gray ones, so you can go look in and do things, but they're probably where you won't be working. It's where you'll be storing things like meshes and movies and so on, media. But if you go look in maps, there'll be Hippie Tea House. There'll be the name of the one you're working on. And so what you'd normally do is open that up. And also, by the way, uh, it will default to opening that up in the editor. I will make sure that whatever one that's supposed to be worked on, it will default and open in the editor. And you'll see in the editor, it's really simple. There's not much here. What you've got here is a floor. Uh, I put a stage in there just for um, planning purposes. You won't have to use the stage or anything. It's just the starting point. 15 player starts, which you can place wherever you want eventually when you start building things, and the dynamic sky. So that's all that's in here. So you just start building from here, bringing in your models or bringing in, copying stuff over from other levels you may have copied in. So there's not much here in the template. And you would just start from here. But the key thing for it, just so you say, well, there's not much there. How is that different? Well, how it's different is if I look at the level blueprint, and this is worth talking about. Oh, look at the level blueprint. All it does is says event begin play. So if you want to add any unique, um, if you want to add any unique stuff to the level blueprint, you do it just by attaching it to event begin play. And it's got all these variables defined, and that's the important part with rather than you just doing it from scratch. I need all these variables to make it easy for me to drag in the real blueprint that will sit on top of the this level in the game. So just keep that in mind, and don't delete those variables. Even though you don't see them in this blueprint, when I drag in the real blueprint, it does use those variables, and it saves me a lot of time if we just leave them in here. So there you go, and you just go ahead and build on it, and if you say play, it just sticks your third person character in there. You can run around it, just typical. So then you would just start adding assets to the level. That's it, the new template, and so basically as we sit there and talk about it in when we get together, I will, if you have ones that you think you're going to go build, I will go build a special zip file with that level marked and send it out to you. And then when you're finished or you want to start having me load a version of it into the game, you just send it back to me. And they're pretty small versus really big templates. They're only a couple, like I said, a couple of gigs. That's it.